We are now being joined with Nate Cox and Cop Block, right? I'm like getting that right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I founded Virginia Cop Block in 2011.
Okay, and we have you here on the Journalistic Revolution because you got a pretty unique thing going on. You're being sued by an officer, isn't that correct?
Yeah, by a Virginia State Trooper named Melanie Mckenney.
Now, inform us, Nate. What was the original incident that started this progression to a lawsuit?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I almost got pulled over by her 2 years ago. It's been almost 2 years since I've had any contact with her. It was Memorial Day weekend. I was coming home from a job on a Saturday, and I noticed as I was traveling home on the interstate that there was tons and tons of state troopers out. Apparently it was their holiday weekend to collect as much revenue as possible. And I was about 2 miles away from my exit, and I happened to have passed a traffic stop that involved one vehicle and about 4 or 5 state troopers. Of course, that's what they do. They're in the habit of intimidating people. And as I drove by them, I got a pretty hard stare down from one person. I don't know if it was McKinney or who it was. And, I just kept on going. I was going the normal rate of speed, flow of traffic. And about a minute later, a unmarked black Dodge Magnum rushed up on me, ended up pulling me over about a minute or so later.
Well, real quick, I don't mean to interrupt, but now you know some of these officers personally, right? That's why you know their names?
No, actually, I know her first name just because I Googled it.
Oh, okay. But, I mean, these other officers, you've never had any interaction with them before?
Well, she ended up calling for backup, I guess. To be quite honest, I'm not sure if she called for backup or not, but three state troopers ended up guarding me on the side of the highway, and I don't believe that McKinney knew who I was, but a handful of her colleagues who came to guard me on the side of the road for the half hour that she detained me, a handful of them, if not all three of them, they knew who I was because they referenced to her my VCU incident that happened back in 2010, I think it was, or 11.
Okay, so they were aware of you, not necessarily you aware of them.
Correct.
Okay, and so they pulled you over. What was her reasoning for that?
So she pulled me over, and ironically enough, she pulled me over about a half a mile away from my exit, and there happened to be 2 more state troopers sitting in the median, so there was a total of like 7 or 8 state troopers within a mile. That just shows how much, how they were just trying to collect revenue that particular weekend. But anyway, I didn't have my front license plate displayed. In Virginia, you have to have a license plate on the front and rear of your car, and I had it inside my vehicle because somebody apparently at Walmart had bumped the license plate display holder or whatever, bumped into my car and somehow popped off. And I hadn't had a chance to remedy that, which I tried to explain to her. So she pulled me over for that reason, and then she ended up realizing that my state inspection sticker, unfortunately here in Virginia, we have to get our cars inspected no matter how new it is. Mine was like a couple months expired or a month expired. I can't remember how long it was, but it was expired. So she wrote me 2 tickets for that.
Okay, now what was it? What's the basis for this lawsuit? What was happening during this original, incident that she's trying to sue you for now?
Well, that's a great question. She's suing me for $5,000 for defamation, and she didn't have any other like bill of attainder or any other facts or actual allegations as an addendum attached to the warrant and debt that I received. So all I know is she's suing me for defamation. I've got a couple guesses why she's doing what she's doing, but the fact of the matter is I don't know what she's actually alleging against me. I actually described that traffic stop as the second most aggressive traffic stop that I had ever been involved in, because as soon as she came up to my door, she demanded that I get out. She opened up my door and demanded that I get out. And I was recording her right away with my cell phone, and she ended up coming after me and putting her hands on me, and some people classify that as assault, trying to prevent me from filming her. And she claims several times that my cell phone could have been a gun, However, she never looked visibly threatened. She never took out her gun or taser, and from the other side of her mouth, so to speak, she continued to refer to it as a cell phone, and she did acknowledge that I was recording her. Come to find out, after I got done dealing with the charges, which I got one of them dismissed and I got found guilty for the license plate issue, I ended up filing a Freedom of Information Act request and got some very, very interesting and concerning and incriminating information back from the Virginia State Police concerning that traffic stop. She ended up admitting to her colleagues during that traffic stop that she knew it wasn't she knew it wasn't a gun. She just didn't want to be on quote unquote YouTube. If you go to virginiacopblock.org, I ended up writing an article about the incident, and I published the findings of the Freedom of Information Act request in this article. I also had a series of very concerning text messages between her and her colleagues. I got her dashboard camera and some other information, and I highly recommend people to check it out.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I was going to say, you pretty much, did she ever stop you from recording, or were you able to record the entire incident?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I ended up complying after about, I guess it was maybe 4 or 5 minutes of trying to dance around her and dodge her swats, so to speak. And I ended up complying and putting the cell phone down, leaning in against the spoiler of my car, facing the front of her car, because she had me positioned behind the rear of my car and in front of her car. So I was still trying to get some sort of recording. Turned to find out that after her backup got there, when she walked to her car to write me the ticket, she ended up trespassing against my property, and I didn't know who did this, but I ended up finding out who did this when I got her dashboard camera. As she walked to her car, she grabbed my cell phone that was leaning on my car and turned it upside down, facing down, so it would not record her vehicle any longer. So that I was pretty upset that she would not let me film her, because I knew that the Supreme Court had affirmed our rights to record the police. And I was further upset. I had contemplated suing her over these things because she trespassed against my property when she touched my cell phone. So, but of course, state employees, especially cops, are immune from personal lawsuits, so the only person I could have sued was the Virginia State Police. And I prefer holding one individual accountable instead of doing some sort of mass punishment type of scenario.
Well, that actually leads me to my next question. I mean, since she's suing you personally now, are you able to start a countersuit?
That's a great question, and my attorneys are under the belief, and they're doing research now. They're under the belief that because she is doing what she's doing, that she basically has negated her throne of immunity, so to speak. So we are looking into countersuing. I personally believe that the reason why she's doing this is just because she's upset that the 3 videos of that traffic incident, 2 of my cell phone footage cameras, videos, and her dashboard camera, have a combined total of over 500,000 views on the internet. And of course, she didn't want to be on YouTube to begin with, and I have a feeling that she's just upset that her videos are on YouTube when she didn't want them there to begin with. That's the only thing that I can think of, because I never. You can go back to the article yourself. I didn't write anything defamatory. I'm not in the practice of saying anything defamatory. I'm an honest person. I'm a Christian, so I don't make just malicious, false accusations against people.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it sounds like to her, the truth and videos is what she's trying to say is defamatory. But, I mean, at least in my own personal opinion, the truth is never defamatory. So let me ask you this. Where are you currently in this? I mean, do you know when your arraignment or whatever the first step in a lawsuit is? And what's your strategy moving forward?
Yeah, so I received this warrant 2 weeks ago from tomorrow, and it just went public this past Wednesday. I chose to remain silent about it until I got to meet with my attorneys this past Wednesday, as soon as I met with my attorneys, I ended up going public about it and publishing an article, posting a brief press release, and posting the actual image of the document, the warrant, on our website, virginiacopblock.org. And then I linked, in that article, I linked to the original incident where you can see the write-up that I did and the articles. So the court date as it stands right now is for June 23rd, I believe. However, there's a couple different scenarios going on. Because it's in a small claims court, apparently I'm not entitled to an attorney in a small court like that. Hello?
Yeah, no, I'm here. Yeah, no, I understand that. Yeah, they don't give you. You can have one, but they're not entitled to give you one in small claims.
Right. So because I want representation, my attorneys are going to remove it to a higher court, like general district court or even possibly circuit court. However, as I've had more time to think about this, and as this story has kind of almost gotten viral, I mean, it's on the verge, I think, of getting national attention. I mean, I just got a letter the other day a letter and a phone call the other day from the Judge Judy TV show wanting our case on her show. So this is a very, very unusual case, like you said to begin with, and this is on the verge, I believe, of going national. And she doesn't want that type of attention, so I'm planning on sending her an email on Monday, actually. I acquired her work email address, and I'm going to encourage her and persuade her to go ahead and do the right thing and drop the suit. So I'm hoping she'll do that, because none of us need this type of nonsense in our lives. But if she doesn't, then we're going to prepare to countersue.
Okay, now let me ask you this. You said you have this opportunity to maybe go on Judge Judy. If she doesn't drop the charges, is that a real option for you? Are you willing to make it that public and maybe even, wear your cop block shirt on national television?
So, of course, for us to be on the Judge Judy show, it would have to be a mutual agreement between me and the Trooper McKenney. And I highly, highly, highly doubt that she would ever agree to something like that. But for the hypothetical that she did, I have thought about it. There are a lot of pros, and there are a few cons. I don't think that I would have I haven't verified this, but looking at some of her shows, some segments on the internet, I don't know if I have the liberty, so to speak, of wearing any type of printed T-shirt that I might want, because I had thought about that, because I'm always trying to represent stuff, and I have tons of T-shirts that represent different things. So I was thinking about wearing, a big bold shirt that said like Google jury nullification or cop block or whatever message I want to get across. But her show in reality, in my opinion, is a joke, and I almost feel like taking that on her show would almost belittle what's actually going on. I mean, I understand it would get a lot of attention, but, there are pros and cons to it. And at this point, if the Trooper was to agree to that, which I highly doubt is likely, I probably would not take advantage of the offer to go on the show.
Yeah, we really don't want to turn the Liberty Movement into reality TV. I can understand that.
Right.
So moving forward, you said there's a couple of different options. How are you feeling about this? I mean, are you feeling optimistic like it's going to be dropped, or optimistic that you're going to win, or are pessimistic by either of those standards?
Well, I know in my good conscience that I have done nothing wrong. So even if the quote-unquote justice system screwed me over and I was somehow found guilty of this, it wouldn't faze me, because I know I have done nothing wrong. However, I feel very confident that we've already won this. Like I said, I didn't make any sort of defamatory statements. The few things that might be questionable on the blog, my attorneys say are considered opinion, and basically this comes down to a First Amendment issue, which is somewhat similar to my VCU incident that I had mentioned about earlier. So I feel confident that we're going to win, and all the attorneys, I have a number of friends who are attorneys and paralegals, and they all say that this is very rare, that a lot of she filed it in the wrong court, she didn't file the right warrant, and she didn't even have an addendum concerning actual facts and allegations. So from the people that I've talked to about it, it doesn't even appear like she knows what she's doing. I have a feeling she probably didn't even seek any of her own counsel or any advice from her agency or lawyers, because it just doesn't look like she knows what she's doing at this point.
It just looks like an emotional reaction to something that she was trying to avoid in the first place.
Yeah, and, you know, after we remove it and go to a higher court, that's going to pretty much force her to get an attorney. So after I explain, I've already got the email written up, and I've got to get my attorney to screen it first on Monday before I send it to her. But I've got a pretty encouraging and persuasive email that I'm hoping. You know, she doesn't want to spend money on an attorney, and she doesn't want this to get any more press than it already has. So I'm hoping that she drops it. We can resolve this amicably and put this behind us.
Awesome, Nate. Well, is there anything else you want to end on, and go ahead and plug any causes and anything that you deem worthy?
I just want to encourage people. You know, I'm an Army veteran. I got out of the Army in 2009, and I kind of woke up politically, so to speak, in Iraq in 2008 when that election was going on. Of course, thanks to Ron Paul, that's how I woke up. And you know, when I got done with active duty, about 8 months after I got home from Iraq in the summer of '09, I just felt compelled to get out there and do something. I realized that I was not fighting for freedoms in Iraq, and I feel like I've done much more fighting for our freedoms since getting out of the Army. And I just want to encourage people to read up on things like the principles of liberty and the non-aggression principle and nonviolence and self-ownership, and get out there and empower yourselves and do something. That's really what my motive is right now, is to get out there, motivate people, encourage and inspire people to get out there and make a change and make a difference.
Awesome, man. That is a great point to end on. Go ahead and plug yourself and all of the causes in which you support.
Yeah, sure. Like I said, you can find us on virginiacopblock.org. If you go there, you'll find all of our Twitter. We've got some great YouTube videos on our channel, and we've got a pretty good following on Facebook. If you want to find me, you can find me pretty easy at facebook.com/whoisnathancox, and that's about it.
Awesome.
My personal website is whoisnatecox as well.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I appreciate the offer, or I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, have a good one.